TheBroGrammer. Good morning guys, TheBroGrammer here again today with a brand new video. Today I'll be making a short video on loops, alright? I will next time create a longer video on loops again, but called the extended version, in which you'll see how you'll have more details on how loops work, alright? Now this one here is for those fast knowledgers or those who probably know how they actually work a little bit, alright? So today we'll see three main loops, alright? The while one, the do while, and the for loop. Alright, so once we've seen the conditional operators, the Boolean expressions, and of course the variable type, you should be fine and ready to do work with the loops. And once you know how to work with the loops, technically you can kind of do everything, kind of. Alright, so let's start with the while loop. I'll just create a variable here called var1. Alright, give it the value 5, which is fine, and then create my loop. Alright, the loop is pretty simple to create. You'll type in while, have brackets here. Within those brackets you'll have your expression, and in this one I'll just say var1 superior to 0. Alright, so it'll technically verify if my variable 1 is inferior to 0. Alright, and then put up those brackets here. What I'm going to do is output the value of var1. Alright, and right underneath it I'll just decrease it. Okay, minus. Right, and if we run this, it should give me a value up until 1. Why? Because the while loop double check at the beginning of the loop. Alright, that's the technicality of this. Verify, make sure your condition is true at the beginning of the loop, and then it runs the expression. If it's not true, it just skips. Alright, now let's go to the do while. Pretty simple. Do. Alright, then you have your brackets, then you have your while at the end. It's kind of like an if else statement, but with a do and a while. Alright. Oh, what am I doing here? Alright, so the do while, the expression will be at the end. Alright, so if you look here, we'll say while, same expression as above, var1 superior to 0. Alright, semicolon here, close this, and then we'll do the same thing. You'll see the differences. Alright, var1 minus minus. Alright, and I'll just make sure to put var1 equals 5 here, just so it goes back to its original value. And if I put this in comments for now, let's double check the value. Alright, same thing. Alright, 5, 4, 3, 1. Alright, we're cool on this one. Now if I put both in comments and we come here, create the 4. 4 is pretty simple. You have your expression within the brackets here again. It's always the same thing. And you declare and initiate a value here. Alright, usually we go with I, J, and K. Okay, we usually start with K. It's just how it's been written. Alright, it's a convention, so you just better go with it so it's not confusing for other people. Alright, so I equals 0 or whichever value you want to give it. Alright, you might give it 10, 5, depending. Alright, and then you here again, while I is inferior to 5, for an example. No, let's go var1 because we already have this value there. And then I increase. Alright, in this case we will increase. Alright, now we will just output, instead of outputting var1, we will output instead of outputting var1, we will output I, the letter I. Why? Because I is the one that's changing. Alright, not the var1 in this loop here. As you can see, I is increasing. Alright, not the var1. var1 is just there as a referential number, in this case 5. Alright, so let's try this, see what it brings out. 0 to 4. Now I'll just something here real quick. Alright, I'll mention for loop. Alright, let's make sure it's clear for everybody here. Remove the comments. While loop. And the do while. What happened here? Oh, yes. It's because, like I said, I gotta make sure the variable is back up to 5 every single time. Why? Obviously, it's because by the time this loop ends, alright, my var1 variable drops down to 0. Alright, well, same thing for this one here. My variable 1 drops down to 0 and couldn't run for this loop here. Alright, so let's just go back here. Let's compare the outputs. So for the while loop started to 5, ends to 1, and of course both extremities are included, so of course comes down to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but the 0 is not included. Why? Because in the while loop, alright, what happens is double checks the variable at the beginning, the condition at the beginning. Alright, double checks, make sure if the condition is true at the beginning, then it executes the expression. Alright, that's what it does. So after it decreases after the 1, alright, once the it outputted 1 here, double check var minus minus equals 0. Does var1 superior to 0? No, so it skipped. Alright, skipped back. We gave it back its value 5. Alright, and then we came back in the loop. Here with the do while, it doesn't check the condition first. Runs the expression first, then double check the statement. Alright, so it did the same thing honestly. Alright, so it went through the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then at 1, at 0, sorry, at 1, excuse me, var1 was decreased to 0, and then he double checked, is var1 superior to 0? No, because it was around 1. Well, the value of var1 back then was 0. Alright, so it decreased, so it went out of the loop, and then right here, where we again increase the value of var1. Alright, and with the for loop, what happens is you initiate the value either here, or you can always do it here. Alright, you're not forced to do it in the condition here, but if you're not doing in the condition, make sure you still have your semicolon. Alright, but you can just put it here, I equals 0 out of there, which is really useful. Alright, and then if we still run it, we'll still get the same values. Alright, so 0 to 4, and the only reason why it starts at 0 is because we made the variable start at 0. Alright, if we gave it the value minus 9, you'll see it'll start at minus 9 and then all the way up to 4. Alright, that's the for loop for you. Right, it's pretty simple. The loops are really simple, to be honest. Make sure your condition in all 3 of them is really specific, really understandable, and you shouldn't have any problem. And make sure it's the proper condition you want to use. Alright, thanks again for watching my video, guys. TheBroGrammer here again today with the loops for you in Java. Now if you have any questions, do not hesitate, and see you next time. Thanks.